a thought only gains power when you identify it, when you repeat it, or you get emotionally attached to that thought. Otherwise, a thought has no power. And the moment you observe a thought instead of believing it blindly, you actually step out of the unconscious living. So basically, there are two types of people, and there are two ways of perceiving life. Now, every one of us, every individual lives inside a mental universe, which is basically made of thoughts, interpretations, and meanings. So what happens is that life does not come to us raw. It comes filtered through the stories which we tell ourselves. Now what I noticed was that people don't live different lives, but they are living in different psychological world which is actually created by their dominant thought pattern. Now for example, there are two people which are walking the same storm. Now one will say that life is against me, but the other person will say that maybe this storm is teaching me something, or maybe I am trying to learn something here. Maybe this is a challenge which I will overcome. Now the storm for both of them was the same, but the reality which was experienced was completely different. Because a thought, when believed, is not just a thought, but it becomes a lens. Now we will take an example. For example, there is a person who faced some challenges in his life. Now he always said to himself that, I am unlucky. So he will always start noticing losses. But the other person who says that, everything happening in my life is actually guiding me, what he will notice is the lessons and the hidden blessings behind those lessons. And both will say that, see, this is the proof that I got losses, but the other one says that, I got hidden blessings. So basically what we're doing is, they're not seeing the truth, but they are seeing the confirmation of their inner narrative which is built inside them. Now listen this. We think that we are observing life, but what we are doing is that we are projecting meaning onto neutral events which happen in our life. Life itself is largely neutral, but it is our mind which label things as failure or redirection. We could also say that it was a failure, but we could also say that it was redirection. We could also say that it was the delay, but we could also say that maybe there is a particular timing. Now the truth here is that you can't always control which thought appears to you, and I agree to it, okay, because thoughts are based on the perception, the conditioning we had. But you can always choose which thought becomes your version of truth. And did you ever think that a thought only gains power when you identify it, when you repeat it, or you get emotionally attached to that thought? Otherwise, a thought has no power. And the moment you observe a thought instead of believing it blindly, you actually step out of the unconscious living. Because now you're not like, I am victim of that thought, but you are like, I am an awareness in which thought appears, they come, they fade away, and they pass by. And that is where real freedom begins. So most of us actually try to change circumstances. But did you ever notice that you have the same mindset? And circumstances are actually the mirrors of your inner beliefs. Your circumstances will only change when your inner world changes. If you want to change a particular situation, but you still have same conditioning, you still have same unconscious patterns, then how are you expecting to change your life? And life is all about how you interpret it. When the interpretation changes, you see your problems as your challenges. You see loneliness as, self-connection, because only solitude can provide you self-connection. And externally, your life might look similar, but internally, your reality has already started shifting because your mindset is now changed. So sometimes we are living in our version of world. And half of the times our thoughts are not real. 95% of the times we are just, spiraling between the same thought, the same thing, and we believe it to be real. But you have to understand is that you actually create your version of truth. So sometimes even when the thought appears, you don't have to just, believe it blindly. You don't have to label it. You don't have to convert it into reality. And you will have two ways of understanding it. Either you are analyzing it based on the same conditioning and the same unconscious sudden impulses of your brain, or you will have the option of being conscious and then understanding why those thoughts are appearing. So if you believe that, your thought is real, then it is real. But it is your version of truth. It is not the actual truth, but it is your version of truth. And you can always change your version of truth by choosing which thought becomes your reality.